Welcome back to the program. We begin with news that government is likely to make changes to the customs policy introduced in April this year, which saw a reduction in benchmark values on some goods cleared at the ports. This follows feedback received from stakeholders that the policy has not been effective. Deputy Minister of Finance Kweku Kwarteng is at a stakeholders engagement on the next budget disclosed that as discussions are still ongoing regarding the policy, government will address the concerns in the 2020 budget, which is expected in November this year when Parliament resumes.
Next year, we have no plans to introduce new taxes. We have no plans whatsoever. We will continue to review some of the reliefs we gave. We have, as I indicated, introduced the benchmark values policy. It's a customs policy that says the base for customs taxes will be halved. Now we're reviewing that because we are also getting feedback from domestic manufacturers that in some specific areas this policy is counterproductive. We are taking a close look at these concerns, and in the main budget for 2020 we will address some of those concerns. But as I indicated, the broad strategy, even where we provide such reliefs, is to give support to the economic actors and to ensure that production is uplifted. And we know ultimately with that will come the revenues we're looking for. Now, I think on that one, the presidential assent has come. And so the policy and the tax measure is withdrawn. However, the law that repealed the policy said if you are in default, if you are supposed to have paid before the law was repealed and you did not pay, you are required to go and pay. In the same way that if you did pay after repealing the law, it does not mean you are entitled to a refund. And I think it is important we do that in order to communicate that when laws are made, they are made to be obeyed. If they are bad laws, we will take them through processes to ensure we improve or repeal them. But whilst they have not been repealed, that they are applicable. And if you owe, because as a result of the application of a law, at the time it hadn't been repealed.
That was Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwarteng. Well, the Finance Minister himself, Ken Ofori-Atta, has charged the receiver to go in strong in retrieving the good assets and funds invested in wrong ventures. He said this after leadership of the Baptist Convention asked for clarity over speculations that customers will not receive all their locked-up deposits. The Finance Minister revealed government has so far spent 14 billion Ghana cedis even before the receiver completes the exercise and pays disgruntled depositors. Mr. Ofori-Atta was addressing the 56th annual session of the Ghana Baptist Convention in the Ashanti region. Prince Apia has more in this report.
At the 56th annual session of the Ghana Baptist Convention held in Ejra in the Ashanti region, the current cleanup in the banking sector was a major concern that was discussed. Executive President of the Ghana Baptist Convention, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, warned government to clear conflicting reports that depositors will not get their deposits in full.
However, we are hearing conflicting reports that seems to suggest there is no 100% guarantee that depositors of savings and loans companies will get their monies back. Some people are also saying that monies will not be paid in bulk, but it will be spread over a period of 3 years. We would like the government and Bank of Ghana to clarify the position so that genuine depositors with these companies will know their true position so that they can plan accordingly. We would like to encourage the government to consider facilitating early payment of these deposits and investment to ease the burden of families and individuals and restore confidence in the banking sector.
Meanwhile, the Finance Minister, who was a guest speaker, Ken Ofori-Atta, says government will not relent on their efforts to retrieve the locked up money.
And all of us made those mistakes. So the first cut was then to say, why don't we make sure that 10,000 cedis there, Obia Benyabi, at least if you have that money in that account. And then you have the receiver. The receiver then goes to see whether he can collect the money that the banks place in wrong places or bought houses or whatever. And then after you have received that is before we can distribute that resource. But even in that instance, we are having to spend some 14 billion cedis. You know, we talk about free SHS and it's like 2 billion cedis a year. We have spent 14 billion cedis to be able to give people's monies back to them and make sure that our banking crisis, you know, was contained.
He says the receiver will do a good job to pay the disgruntled customers.
So yes, the expectation is that the receivers will move strongly to recover these so that we can then begin to give them back to the bigger depositors.
Meanwhile, Kenoforiata also admonished members of the gathering to be tax compliant.
The central bank must be fair in its dealings with all industry players within the financial sector. That's coming from founder of the defunct TT Bank, Prince Kofi Amoabeng. Speaking on some developments within the financial space, Mr. Amoabeng said this is one of the measures to help bring back the required confidence that has eluded the sector in recent times.
The central bank is trying to set up new limits to make sure that at least they are quite robust and they won't go down easily, right from the rural banks to community banks to savings and loans. If they will go by it and not favor other people, but make sure that everyone is really investigated and they have what it takes and they qualify and they go by the regulatory requirements and they can enforce it, then there will be the confidence, but it will take a bit of time. Maybe in about a couple of years' time, we should find that these companies are doing well and people trust them. But it will take a bit of time because the industry has been hurt badly. And unfortunately, a lot of people have lost money, so I don't know how they're going to bounce back on that. Take, for example, government saying that you have minimum capital of 400 million to be a bank. Some banks were excused. They don't have the 400 million, they've been given time. Some banks merged, they still don't have the money, but they're still around. Some banks were rescued, but the government is going to find money through GAT to fund them to meet the 400. Some banks got the 500. Too much. It's haphazard and it's too much subjectivity. You don't run institutions like that. Put processes in place, and as we say in the army, Nanga to Nanga don't qualify. Nanga to Nanga qualifies. And it's easy. But the way the government is doing, obviously, personal interest, favoritism, and that's not the way to run an institution.
While away from the banking sector, still in the financial space, though, the debate on the recently issued government 20-year bond rages on, and on the business edition of PM Express last night on JoyNews, the debate was taken a notch higher as financial experts gave some education on if indeed this bond was a flop or not. Here is a wrap of key points on the show in this report by Philip Namfori.
Government's recent 20-year bond issue has been described as a flop, as it was able to raise 162 million Ghana cedis out of a 450 million. The Ministry of Finance, however, rejected these claims, describing it as shelf offering. This means the bond is expected to be issued over a period and not the whole 450 million at a go. Acting Director of Financial Sector Division at the Ministry of Finance, Samson Akligo, on the PM Express explains further.
When you go to borrow, and you've even raised excess, and you have announced to the market that this is a shelf offering, what you do is that with your advisors is that they will guide you. That look, you are issuing a new instrument, you have a yield curve, you have to price it very well. Understand? So we have given them a guidance as to what we are expecting. They've gone to the market, and the market is not. The market says that based on your guidance, this is how much the book runners were able to generate. You cannot describe that as like maybe a flop. It's very sensational. Because
the amount raised attracted a rate of 20.2%. Some financial experts have described this as high. Economist Professor Bopwing shares his thoughts.
If our inflation is 9.4%, the last figure, and we are hopeful that the medium-term inflation target of 8% with a symmetrical rate of 2% is achievable, then doing 20% over 20-year horizon may seem to be too high then, even though it's lower than what we did 4 years ago, what we did 5 years ago, where we were doing 3-year bond, 5-year bond at 25%, 26%. It's lower than that. But then when you compare that against maybe our medium-term target that we all think it is right, we are exiting IMF, and then we have exited IMF. We are saying that the fundamentals are in shape and all of that. Inflation is.
But one of the government's advisors on raising bonds from the financial markets, Fidelity Bank, believes getting a price on such long-term bonds is really a case of demand and supply. Samuel Edu is Deputy Managing Director of Fidelity Bank.
So, for instance, the investors would be, say, a bank, a pension fund. The pension fund would want to ensure they achieve certain benchmark returns. A bank has the option of either doing a loan to a customer, a retail customer, a corporate customer, or giving the money to government. So there has to be a balance in the mind of each investor. At what level do I feel happy enough to part with my money? So there's always a demand-supply situation. What tends to disrupt the equilibrium is if there's either too much money looking for investments or there's too much borrowing requirements by government.
You're watching The Marketplace. We want to take you next to the Ashanti region, where over 85% of Setra Afram Plains district's population are farmers. Now, however, despite its suitability for cultivation of almost every food crop, the district lags behind in food production. Factors such as absence of extension services and mechanization are said to be responsible for low crop yield. Nanaya Aljima takes a look at how local authorities seek to improve agriculture for enhanced fortune of farmers.
47-year-old Esther Abenin is farmer and trader in the Setra Afram Plains. The main commodity she cultivates and deals in is maize. Preparing her land for planting each season is a real hassle, as she has to chase tractor owners for one of the few 7,000s. It comes out as luck when Esther finally secures the equipment for the job, despite having capacity to hire and pay even for two.
The chase for tractors sometimes delay your work. When farmers call me to buy their produce, I will have to again chase the tractor to harvest and transport them. This affects our business.
To have an acre of land plowed, Esther, like other farmers, pay 100 cedis and 8 cedis per bag for harvesting. These increase cost of production, which obviously is passed on to the consumer. Farmers here are too poor to own tractors and other equipment themselves. A government-owned tractor, which used to serve the people, disappeared and cannot be accounted for after government changed hands in 2017. Ebenezer Baba, a yam and maize farmer, is fully aware mechanization can improve their lot.
I can farm between 10 and 30 acres of yam. Tractors make the work easier, but we don't get them.
Research from Agriculture Department shows an acre of maize farm with proper agronomic practice and mechanization yields at least 15 bags. Under present circumstances, farmers realize 3 and 8 bags per acre. A government initiative which has seen provision of 2 tractors, a mechanized irrigation and a motorized sprayer and planter is set to bring some relief. District Director of Agriculture, Daniel Kwabna Ejei, explains addressing planting space challenges is first step towards the change. He says all year-round planting is achievable with irrigation system in place.
Those who are found along the streams and the rivers in the districts, they can benefit from especially the irrigation system all year round, so they can produce all year round.
Seche Afram Plains District Assembly expects 2 more tractors to augment the current pool to be shared among 4 administrative zones. Through farmer committees, individuals will apply to use the machinery at a cost lower to that of private owners. Trackers installed in tractors will help monitor movement of the equipment. District Chief Executive Joseph Owusu says improvement in road network and other interventions will reduce post-harvest losses.
And then the smaller ones that needs touching up, like the stretch that will bring me through Ajirofi Adonsu to Brim, to use that Insuta whole stretch from Cheyase up to Gidiako, where you will catch the 10.4 kilometers are constructed. People don't understand it, but I'm pushing a development agenda that is holistic, so that the ends fit, and not just those loose ends that we've been doing over the years. And that is our strategy. So we are pushing agriculture through the mechanization, but we also know the products, they need roads to travel to the market. And the roads agenda too is going on a fast pace.
From Kumasi for Joy Business, Nana Ojima reporting.
Next to the Northern Region, and Chief Executive Officer of Gratis Foundation, Kofi Ejein team says its Tamale Center has agreed with the University for Development Studies to train about 110 students of the university and equip them with practical skills after their studies at the university. He said this will adequately prepare them to take up jobs in the industry. The CEO said this at a familiarization tour of the center in the Northern Region. Martina Bugri has sent this report.
Jane team said Gratis is a pivot around which SMEs revolve in terms of technological know-how. He said the foundation has produced modern equipment for various organizations which have helped increase the economic standards, especially for the share nut industry. Kofi Jane team said the foundation's workshops serve a wide range of markets such as oil and gas, among others.
Our core mandate of training is another thing that we are working on. Come to Tamale here. A lot of graduates come and study from our center here. As I speak, there's an agreement between the Tamale Center and University of Development Studies to train 110 students. As I speak now, the students go through, pick their degrees, and the practical nature of the job becomes a problem. So after completing their degree program that comes so much in theory, they come here to do the practical so that they'll be able to be all around when they are employed in our factories and companies.
A share nut butter producer, Zakaria Adam Lasiri of the Yumza Women Association, testified how acquiring machines from Gratis has helped boost her production.
At first, we were doing handcrafted butter, and within a day, we could need about 3 to 4 bags within a day. So our yield was very low, because if someone gives us an order for the month, then it will be up and we will finish. But now we are able to purchase this machine. We need about 24 to 30 bags within a day, and which we normally get about, within a day we get about 3 to 4 tons.
Kofi Jane team, who was on a familiarization tour, visited a women's association at Tampinkuku in the Sagnorigu district and later visited Savelugu to inspect ongoing projects of its new center.
Now, golf has largely been associated with the elite, successful and top business executives. Well, have you ever wondered the correlation between golf and the business world? Some top businessmen and golfers, including founder of defunct TT Bank, Prince Kofi Amwabeng, and managing director of Cal Bank, Frank Edu Jr., have been sharing their experiences at the GEC Open Aspire 2019, a platform for them to discuss the synergies between golf and business.
Not regarding the perception that golf is a sport for the elite, some business executives at the GEC Aspire 2019 maintain that golf is for everyone. According to them, the expensive part of golfing is the time spent which they believe is available to all. Retired Captain Prince Kofi Amwabeng, founder of defunct TT Bank, revealed that golfing helped him stay strong in 2017 when his bank collapsed.
I devoted more time to golf, and you'll be surprised that when I'm asleep or when I cannot sleep, I'm not thinking about the company that is gone. I'm thinking about the bad shots I played and how I could have played them better. So golf took a lot of the stress and bad moments and away from me, and I had a good sleep, and I didn't have to really stress in terms of what I was losing.
For Managing Director of Cowbank, Frank Edu Jr., golfing has not only given him the chance to meet new people, but also strike big business deals.
You cannot be a good golfer if you are not disciplined. And as Kofi said, golf will show you up to show up your character and personality.
However, in all the talk about the importance of golfing to the business world, it was evident that more efforts will be needed to grow the sport. Mr. Frank Edu Jr. therefore called on government to invest more in the creation of recreational facilities to whip up interest.
I think that successive governments in this country have been overwhelmed by the need to provide public services, infrastructure, etc., beyond which they are unable to find a budget for, in their minds, what they would probably think would be less important requirements for the people. How are they going to find money to do that? I don't know. But I know that for planning, for good city planning, you need to have these spaces. Marine Drive is coming up. Let's see, I haven't seen the master plan. Let's hope there will be some parks in there because the land is big enough. If there are other areas that we could create the parks. But I guess it's all about revenue mobilization and having the excess revenue and resources to be able to do some of these beyond being aesthetic, very important things.
Other executives present at the engagement were Ben Bath of Axera Advisor, Ofori Boatinho Strategic Security Systems International Limited, and businessman Kofi Eje. For Joy Business, Karen Dudu.
Now, you do understand why the top business executives play golf. Well, now, some news from the insurance industry. Insurance companies in the country have been urged to meet their capital requirement before the deadline elapses to avoid revocation of their license. Speaking at the launch of Enterprise Advantage mobile app in Accra, the Insurance Commissioner, Justice Ofori, retweeted it's time the regulator enforces the insurance laws rigorously.
At the launch of the Enterprise mobile app in Accra, the CEO of the Enterprise Group, Kelly Gajekpo, reiterated the company's resolve to satisfy its customers. Mr. Gajekpo believes the Enterprise Advantage mobile app will give customers expert service at their convenience.
The Enterprise Advantage app, the only app in this our dear country that allows you to conduct insurance and pensions transactions end to end on your phone. The first reason is convenience. The Advantage app is actually a digital distribution platform. So when it comes to insurance and pensions, you can do everything from getting a quotation through purchasing, payment, and even making a claim, just from the comfort of your office or from the sofa in your home. Sitting there, you're watching TV, you're done.
The Insurance Commissioner, Justice Ofori, re-echoed the regulator's aim to clean up the insurance sector, stating that the timeline given to insurance companies to meet their capital requirements will not be reviewed. He believes the current low capital level of these insurance companies makes it difficult for them to venture into the oil and gas industry and to absorb high risk.
The oil field, the risk involved is very high, and our market hasn't got the capacity to actually take all the risk. And these are some of the reasons why we asking the insurance companies to increase their minimum capital so that they can absorb much of the risk. In addition to that, the industry has set up an oil and gas pool that actually absorbs some of the excesses. These are all attempts being made by the industry to retain much of the businesses before the leftover is sent outside. But the oil and gas is a big business, and the insurance companies in Ghana need to build bigger and larger capacities to absorb much of the risk.
He said the new requirements will safeguard the interests of insurance policyholders to boost confidence in the industry. Fred Ho's report for Joy Business.
Well, finally this afternoon, the art of dancing has now moved away from just having fun and has become a vibrant commercial industry in recent times. It has also offered some job opportunities for many young people within the music industry. In this report, Anita Smith-Kofi interacts with a budding dancer, Dance God Lord, and explores the business potential in this age.
Ghana's dance industry has continued to evolve over the years. Despite entertainment values, the industry is said to be ripe for some good business. This is Dance God Lloyd, a budding dancer and instructor who is cashing in big time. Upon my visit to one of his rehearsal sessions, I couldn't help but to join in the energetic session. I asked him how it all began.
I used to dance in high school, but after high school, there was this saying that after high school, you cannot dance. You cannot take it as a profession. So my team and I decided to embark on this, this journey to change the perspective about dance.
No matter your age, a career in dancing can never be a bad idea. Young Nana Abba has been frequenting this place for quite some time now. She aspires to be a professional dancer in future, and her mom is in full support of her decision.
I can see it's a talent, and I want to push her so that in future, even though if she doesn't go, she doesn't have any job to do, she can use the dancing as a job.
Available statistics globally shows that dance industry is worth over $1 billion. But how prepared are Ghanaian dancers to explore this venture?
Dance can be a profession based on how you take it, like how serious and how dedicated and how disciplined you are. You can make money out of dance. So dance can be a very good profession. Dance is actually a serious business.
I have passion for it and I love it so much. People out there don't respect dancers, but because I really, really love dancing, I just can't stop dancing. I love dance. So as you can now see, dance is not just an exercise, but actually it's a very lucrative business you can venture in as a full-time job.
Well, on that compelling note, we end the marketplace this afternoon. Thanks for watching. My name is Daroko. Do stay tuned.